Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Brown and Browner, the post-Week 7 NFL edition, and more importantly, the start of all four sports all at one time. We've got the Baseball World Series, we got the NBA, we got the NFL, we've got hockey, we've got everything under the sun going on right now, and it's a great time to be alive.
I totally agree. You got everybody playing. Baseball is in the high twilight of their season, playing the World Series. You got the Dodgers against the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays being in the World Series for the first time since '93.
Joe Cotta, baby, Joe Cotta.
Yeah. Joe Cotta, baby. And congratulations to them. Unfortunately, I wanted the Mariners to win.
I was hoping for the
Mariners.
Mariners.
Would have loved to have seen that. But I guess the cream rises to the top. To me, the Dodgers have the best team on paper, on the field.
We're watching the greatest player play. I mean, at the end of the day, we're watching Shohei. We're watching that arsenal of a pitching staff that the Dodgers have. It's impressive all in its own right. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Yeah, does there need to be a strike in 2027 to reset and have a salary cap in baseball? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. I tell you what's great to see, and I've always liked this. I was a Ken Griffey Jr. fan because I was a Ken Griffey fan when he played with the Reds.
Yes.
I love seeing VG2 come in there and play the way he's playing. Dude is batting almost 500 in the playoffs, and he's a threat. And I'm hopeful. I'm an underdog kind of guy. I really want to see Toronto win.
I'd love to see Toronto win.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I Shohei or not, I just want to see somebody else win besides the Dodgers.
I hate to make a political comment, but if you're the current administration, do you vote for a team from Canada or do you vote for a city in a place where you hate the governor? Quite the diabolical quandary there.
Well, here's my question: Do they send ice to the games? Do they try to send ice to the games when they're playing in LA? Do they come over and be like, "Hey, these Toronto guys, they really shouldn't be here. Let me see if we can do something to rattle them." I could see that happening. That's how ridiculous some of this stuff is.
It's sad. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs when it comes to all of that. That said, I'd love to see Toronto pull it off. It was honestly, we're kind of seeing this nostalgic area in sports. Joe Carter, 93. You and me remember this, obviously. Yes. It was a great time to be alive. Kirby Puckett. I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff in the early 90s,
totally
with baseball.
Totally agree.
But then last night, we got a bit of nostalgia too. The NBA is back on NBC, baby.
Game 1, NBA on NBC. Hey, you don't have to have a streaming service to try to watch one of the games. That's shocking.
And more importantly, it was a lot of cool nostalgia there. I mean, honestly, my most vivid memory of NBA and NBC, not only that iconic anthem and everything else, but OJ. It was the OJ chase. The OJ chase is my indelible memory of the NBA and NBC. It was the greatest coverage on earth. I still remember where I was, how I was watching it, everything during the NBA finals.
Oh, that's right, because it was during the finals and Houston was playing. That's correct. Yeah, that's right. And they preempted the game so they could show that slow drive in the Broncos.
I was in the middle of a tennis tournament. We had just taken a break. We were back in our hotel room. We were watching the chase. It was the greatest thing on earth.
I love how it was called the chase. They could have caught his ass right away. That was like
easily. This day and age, you would have barricaded his ass and stopped him and taken him down. There's no question. He just had to make political theater out of it. It was great.
Oh, for real, man. You were supposed to like T-bone him, hit him on the back, whatever they call that, and split him around, and that would have been it, right? But no, we're gonna let him go like 40 miles an hour.
We're gonna put the most iconic scene in TV history for basketball, honestly.
Well, I tell you what a decent opening game. It went 2 overtimes. Yes. You watch the Oklahoma City, the champions, come in with these gaudy, big-ass rings that they had before the game. But they were pretty much down all game long.
Yep.
And SGA turned it on towards the end. There was a little crappy call in there for the first overtime. A little something. But, it's game 1. But to see them go 2 overtimes, to see them come back and actually win, to see them play without one of their stars and be able to compete with, and I'm going to say this right now. I've said this before. Kevin Durant is not really a winner. Kevin Durant and LeBron, and you were talking about what they had with the tribute to the 90s and to the old school basketball. They had Jordan speak and all of that. and Patrick Ewing. It was great to see Patrick Ewing and Reggie Miller and all of those guys in there. I'm gonna say this: Durant and LeBron, they have rings.
It's individualistic.
Yeah, they didn't really earn them. If you look at all of those players that they showed, how many teams did those players play with? One.
Yep.
One team. Okay, Jordan, when he went to the Washington Wizards when he bought him, but literally one team. Patrick Ewing, one team. Reggie Miller, one team. How many teams LeBron played for?
Yeah, the entire NBA.
How many teams? Yeah. How many teams have Durant played for? And remember, Durant played on a team that had an up-and-coming star in Russell Westbrook and another up-and-coming star in the Beard.
I just love the fact that the Thunder beat Durant because Durant didn't want to stick around. It was as simple as that. Now, I love the culture of the Thunder.
Love it.
It's young, it's vibrant, and it's ground up. That's what's cool. It's small market. I'm going to get behind this team from now until eternity, until they want to break up, and hopefully they don't. Hopefully they want to stick around, and SGA and Chet and the boys, they all want to stick around, because I think it'd be great to see an organic team like that come up with as much success in the draft, in acquiring players. It's impressive to watch Oklahoma City build itself, because it kind of reminds me of literally the Warriors 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Where you started organically. They cleaned house. They got rid of the Latrell Sprewells and all the other drama that was back there. They brought in arguably the greatest shooter of all time. They brought in Clay and everybody else, and they built from the ground up. And Steve Kerr's created a culture there.
Sorry, Mark Jackson. You sort of got screwed on that, because Mark, you were building them up before
Mark Jackson got completely screwed on that. Mark Jackson. He got royally screwed. In fact, I think.
Yeah. You know what he was? He was Doug Collins before Phil Jackson. Doug Collins did all the hard work. Phil Jackson came in, and all of a sudden it was like he was the greatest coach. But they forgot that Doug Collins was the one that got the goal with Jordan and had the everything for Jordan to start with.
Think about the resurrection job Mark Jackson did in the 2 seasons with the Warriors. I mean, like, he basically took them from nothing, literally, to like, hey, mid-tier, and then obviously Kerr came in, took him over the hump, and I get all that.
Me
but
too.
Jackson had success too. That's what's scary.
And hasn't had any sense, and really just went into commentating as opposed to coaching any longer. But I agree with you. It would be great to see them do that. The thing that I'm hopeful for is, how much money can you make? Like, do you sacrifice that?
And like we were talking about last time, I don't know if we remember, we talked about it a lot, but in hockey, you have arguably the greatest player in hockey right now, with Connor McDavid, taking a pay cut so that he can get his team to win.
And that's what you should do. And right now they're all making their money, right? They just all got paid. So they won't be able to bring in a bunch of players because they don't have the money for that. But if you were able to stay and then you said, hey, you know what? Let's do something with my contract so I can maybe extend it out longer, do the Bobby Bonilla thing or whatever. Yeah. And you can build a team around us, and we can sustain this for a decade.
Yep.
It's hard to see that.
You've seen salaries blow up, obviously, in the last 10 years. I think even more so in the last 10 years than even the prior 10 years. It's been insane, obviously, across a lot of sports.
Mm-hmm.
You have also so many other different avenues of making money off the court. And that's what really pisses me off, because all these players are getting these gigantic contracts on paper with their teams, all in the name of their own self-preservation. I get it. Make the most money while you can, while you're in your peak.
Their brand, sure.
I get it. But then at the same time, you have 50 different avenues to make money. Case in point, again, bias on our own ends. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes makes $42 million a year.
What is he? The 10th highest paid quarterback? 8th highest paid quarterback?
He's in the lower tier of getting paid. You got a guy named Tua who's taking a lot of flack this week. He is the 3rd or 4th highest paid quarterback in the league.
How?
Seriously, that's the question. And then they always question, like, oh, well, Miami can't do anything because they don't have the resources. Well, because your top player, who doesn't even show up, is making all the money. Think about that for a second. And I get the player mentality and the personal mentality to make as much money as you can while you're at the peak of your profession. However, if you're truly good at your profession, you'll make money elsewhere.
I.e.
endorsements.
Michael Jordan. Jordan, when was he ever the top highest paid player in the NBA? And he made the NBA. And when was he the highest paid? John Koncak was the highest paid player at one time. So it's just funny because he was getting his little money, but he was making 10 times that on the side with
$50,
Nike and everything else that he did. And you're right. If you're an athlete, for me, and this is just me, I'm not making the millions, and I don't know what it feels like to have that kind of ego behind the money and the things that work in the background that we don't see. But I'm all about winning. So if you paid me $10 million less or $20 million less, but I'm still getting paid $200 million, I think I'll be okay. And that'll help me get players to help win. And Snow Tip and Pippen and all you other guys, you should be thanking Michael Jordan, because if he was so woefully underpaid, you guys wouldn't have gotten paid like you did. So no Tip and Pippen, you should like give Michael Jordan $10 million just for that alone.
Without the team winning concept of the Bulls, Tippin would be no more remembered than, let's say, a Jeff Hornacek, in my opinion.
Right. And he's complaining now that he's not getting his pub. You know what? They put you in the top 50 players at one time. Yes. Were you really top 50 players? Let's reevaluate this. When Jordan was playing, you looked great. Batman and Robin. When Jordan was gone, remember when you sat out that play and Phil Jackson let you have 2 plays to win a game, and you messed up both of them, and then he said, "I'm going to go with Kukoc because I let you do it," and then you act like a little, what? And you sat on the bench instead of being out there to help your team win. And guess what? Phil Jackson was right. Kukoc sank the 3-pointer or whatever, and they won the game. Yes. That to me tells me how much Scottie Pippen really was, and that he wasn't a top 50 player. And that goes back to what I was saying initially. Durant. How many championships did Durant win when he wasn't on a team that beat his team already to win a championship? And he wasn't even the leader.
And he wasn't even the leader of that team.
No, he was not. He got the MVP and all of that because they let him. But they didn't need to. They had stuff. They had the big three-headed monster already in place. They didn't need him. He went from the team that they beat. Remember, Oklahoma City was winning that series against Golden State. What was it? 3-1?
3-1.
Yeah, and Golden State came back and won. The next year, he defects to the team that beat his team instead of doing what Magic, Bird, Jordan, and all the greats in the past have done, which is, I'm going to beat you. I'm not going to join you.
Yep. See, and think about, okay, let's fast forward 10 years, 15 years from now. Are you going to get the same kind of conversations you get from, let's say, like an Isaiah Thomas these days, where Isaiah Thomas says, like, hey, we didn't give Jordan the torch. He got it. Whatever, whatever. What I'm saying is there was rivalry talk still to this day.
Of course.
Between the Pistons, the Bills, the Bulls, all of that era, the Jazz. I mean, you still hear trash talk to this day, right?
They hated each other. They wanted to beat each other.
Exactly. These days, I'm friends with everybody. I'm going to go hang out on my banana boat, whatever.
Man, you're friends with somebody until you get into a competition setting. I don't care if it's my mother. She's 80-some years old. Mama, I'm still trying to beat you down, and I'm going to talk smack while I do it.
Some of my best friends growing up, tennis, everything, we were friends off the court as thick as could be. On the court, hell no.
Hell no. I'm not giving you a break. Yeah. Again, I never played, I played football, played basketball, baseball. I never played to hurt anybody physically. I mean, I did as a football player. When you play on defense, you want to hit somebody and let them know who you are so they respect you and maybe fall down next time because they don't want no more of that. But you never tried to hurt anybody. And after the game, shake your hand, we go out and have drinks, all of that.
Exactly.
But you never, ever gave an inch when you're in between the lines, when you're in between, when you're on the court, whatever it is. Yeah. And I don't feel like that's the same nowadays. It just isn't.
Not at all. Not at all. There's no killer instinct left in sports. Now, I could say maybe different about Shohei Ohtani. That dude is just a baller.
But that's what I'm saying. So Durant, you heard this here first. Yeah. Durant he moved to Houston. Houston was that up and coming team with all that young talent. Yep. Durant is going to ruin that team. Watch.
He will.
Watch.
And that's what's frightening, because that team has got good potential, in my opinion. I mean, think about the whole stat that came out yesterday before that game. They have 4 players at 6'11" or taller starting on the damn lineup.
Did you see that? That was incredible.
That's wild.
And you can see it in the court. You could see it on the court. It's like, wow, that's a distinct advantage. And these guys aren't like some bums. They're athletic.
Oh, dude. And tell you what, I've been watching Sengun for 3 seasons now.
Sengun that's a
He's
player.
A man.
That's a player. Hey, you know what? He might become that next Jokic. This foreign player that comes in and just is the best player in the league, period.
Well, they were interviewing not David Stern, what's his name? Adam Silver. Sorry, Adam Silver
yeah.
The other day, and I forget what channel it was on. And they were pointing out how the last few MVPs and the last few champions have all been a lot of international influence, obviously, and rightfully so. Now, has it gotten to be in the point? This is the questions about thrown to him, I think, in the interview. Has it gotten to be the point where there is greater hunger and desire at the international level because of all the press that the international coverage is now getting and the support and everything else? And have we lost a little bit of that quote unquote killer edge that we got from street ballers in the United States growing up?
I would have to say yes, and I'll say it for this reason. You have some young professionals. Remember Doncic? He was playing professional ball when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
But they have that hunger and that need and that want. We coddle these people, these kids nowadays, and they get all of this stuff. They don't have to work hard.
Yep.
They don't have to work for it. So if you're not building that type of culture of being hungry, because I'm already getting paid, I'm already getting this, my mom got a new car, all of this stuff. Are you helping them become the best that they can be?
No. And I think I see it in not just basketball, but all sports right now, where there's a lot more coddling going on, even during the development programs. I mean, I'm involved in two of them myself, and I can tell you that the development going on in like soccer and tennis is pathetic in the country. I will be very blunt about it. And that's one of the
things you've seen. That's why, think about it. And again, there's a distinct reason why we aren't as good in, say, the tennis and the soccer versus other countries, because other countries have that as a main focus from a sporting perspective, whereas that's like sport 4 or 5 on our chart.
Well, they train harder. They train harder with more desire. It's as simple as that.
But they also get the talent. Think about it.
Yeah.
They have the talent because they don't have a baseball team or as many basketball teams or football at all that would be taking away their best, most athletic players. But I do agree it's the same process, though, and concept of you got to be hungry. The hungriest ones are the ones who raise to the level and reach their full potential.
Yep.
We don't get there because we just don't have it. That's not what we are in America anymore.
We're not going to see quote unquote multi-sport athletes like the Bo Jacksons of the world anymore. I mean, the most recent example, I think that I keep hearing, like even more recent memory, Joe Mauer, the famous catcher for the Twins. Dude played 5 sports in high school, was an All-American in all 5. Think about that. You're never, ever going to see that again anywhere.
They won't allow it because it's not even allowed anymore.
Exactly. Like, I think about it. The only thing closest we have these days is maybe a Travis Hunter that can play both sides of the ball in football, and that's about it.
That is
We're not going to see Deion. We're not going to see a Deion anymore.
Well, you may still see some guys just because of how the seasons don't overlap as much, where you could see a baseball player and a football player. But you're probably not going to see a football player and a basketball player like Julius Peppers anymore.
Yeah, think about it. Julius Peppers, another guy, all-star at both sports. Exactly. Yep.
You had a lot of those players. Most of the players, if you look at who they are, Frank Thomas was a great baseball player and a great football player. Could have been a pro in either sport. We won't talk about Bo Jackson, what he did. He was a pro in every sport he played.
Yeah, exactly.
Bo knows, baby. Bo knows. That was a great campaign. Can't beat that campaign.
We'll think about another Bo later. Yeah.
Matter of fact, we can start transitioning into that because I do think, while all of these other sports, and it's great that we have the 4 sports playing, baseball's winding down. We talked about that. Basketball's ramping up. That's great. NHL, I was at a game Sunday, and yay, go Blackhawks. We actually won. And I love the Marchand story of him going from Boston and winning in Boston, and he leaves Boston, he goes to Florida, and he's winning in Florida 2 years in a row, and he beats the Connor McDavid-led Oilers the last 2 NHL Stanley Cups. They were the same teams playing, and unfortunately, David didn't get over the hump either time. I think that's such a great story, and he's actually going back to Boston. I think it's tonight or tomorrow, or whatever, and playing, and then, or maybe it was last night. And cheers to be abound. That was a player that they didn't want to lose, but he ended up leaving. And it shows how great he is because he went to another team, and boom, they're championship bound and winning two times in a row. When was the last time you see a repeat champion in any sport?
Exactly. Well, we might see it with the Dodgers, unfortunately, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we got great games on this week. Again, week 8. We're nearing the midpoint of the season. Basically, it is the midpoint of the season.
Midpoint of the season. Bye weeks coming up in a strong stretch here between weeks 8 to 10 and 12. It's going to get interesting. Some teams are kind of heel. Some teams are trying to figure out their quarterback situation. Some teams are trying to figure out how to get rid of their crackhead coaches.
I mean, it's something else, and we got to talk about Woody talking about just threw Justin Fields under the bus. I mean, he didn't just throw him under the bus. He jumped into the bus while he threw him under the bus, backed up and thrown back over him like 2-3 times. And it's funny, I heard something interesting about that this morning, and I sort of agree with it. When I first heard it, I was sort of pissed because how do you feel if you're Justin Fields? You know?
Yeah.
But
there's a culture with the Jets, and it starts with the owner, and it's an absolute miserable failure. Simple as that.
He is. He should be. They should get rid of him.
Yeah.
But it was something that was said about his comments that actually made sense, and it was by Canty on Unsportsmanlike earlier this morning. He posed that question to somebody that was there. He said that was classless, and he said, you know what? I totally disagree with you, and here's why. He was trying to save his coach, and he made Justin Fields be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can see that in New York. You know how it is. You know, like if he can get a little time for his coach, first-year coach, Aaron Glenn, who was a player there, who has ties there, he wants to keep him there.
Yeah.
Who better than to throw the quarterback who can't throw a 5-yard pass accurately?
True.
And ended up with like 48 passing yards and just some ridiculous stats that you would think would be like you coach a soccer team now of kids, like that would be like kid football, like throwing 48 yards, you know.
Exactly.
So I get it, and I actually agree with it. If I was looking at it that way, I could see how, you know what, I'm not really putting my future into you, quarterback, but I am into this coach. How do I get the fan base to give him a little more, you know, runway, which most coaches aren't getting nowadays? You get hired as a coach, they're like, we want results. You're getting hired on a shitty team that's been shitty for a long time.
Exactly.
And then they expect you to just come in, rub the little lamp, and all of a sudden Jesus pops out and you guys are going
to get the success, and they don't realize it takes years to build. In fact, and like we've said it here before. Any coach that gets hired to any team, I don't care, good, bad, or ugly, needs to be given a 5-year guaranteed contract. That's the only way it works. You build a culture over a sustained period of time, and you give that guaranteed result, not just with the coach, the GM too. It has to be a partnership.
Agree. And sometimes, and the Bears have been guilty of it, and other organizations have too. If you're not hiring these people together, then there's no cohesiveness to where you can have success. If I'm a GM, but I don't like the people that you already have in place, but you made me GM, how successful am I going to be? And vice versa. Are we going to be bumping heads and never come to us to be aligned in a way and have a vision, one vision that will help us be able to achieve goals?
Yep. It's as simple as that. You've got to have a cohesive team. You're in a team sport. You have to build a team culture. You have to have a team unit to build a team. That's just how it works.
Agree.
Yep. So that said, let's do a quick Week 7 recap. We'll start
oh my God. Let's do that. Give me 1 sec. I got some technical difficulties. I got to bring another computer up. Give me 1 second.
Don't worry. Yep.
All right. So there's a lot to unpack.
We're going to start off with the Aged Bowl, aka the Icy Hot Bowl.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
It was very cool. There should have been Ben Gay ads and Icy Hot ads all night long in that. Metamucil and everything else. It was perfect. And frankly, in my opinion, the guy I like more won. Go Joe Flacco.
Go Joe Flacco. Joe showed them what's up.
Yep. It was fun to watch. And you knew what he was going to do. He was going to throw the ball 50 times to Jamar Chase. And guess what he did? He threw the ball 50 times to Jamar Chase. And I tell you what, somehow that supposed Steeler vaunted defense ain't shit.
They did nothing. And between him and the Bengals running game came back to life a little bit.
Yep.
And to me, this is just a right in your face indictment of the Cleveland Browns and their organization 100%. And everything 100%. That they don't have. Because Joe Flacco goes and in 1 week learns the whole playbook or enough of the playbook to turn them into basically beating the top team in their division.
you're talking about AFC North contenders again. Think about that.
And they might win it. I think the Steelers may have been exposed, and given what happened, I don't believe in the Ravens coming back and winning that. I still don't understand the odds and how they're making it.
Lamar does this week, and we'll get to that. I mean, they're coming off a bye, getting healthy, blah, blah, blah. Until you actually see it on the Ravens, you never believe it. And even then, they may still fail to, even give the ball to Derrick Henry. So who knows?
Great point. Great point. But I did love it. Joe, all the kudos go to you.
Yes.
You revitalized Lamar Chase and Higgins. And I never can get Avasius or whatever his name is.
Yoshibash. Yes.
He did it well. He really showed how a quarterback really matters.
Yeah.
And guys, a quarterback if you're throwing to Jerry Jeudy as your top receiver.
You're talking about a man as a consummate professional. I mean, people say like, yeah, he was on a vaunted defense and that's why he won a Super Bowl. No, Joe Flacco got the ball out to 2 stud receivers that whole season too for the Ravens with Torrey Smith and everybody else. Yep. And frankly, you know what? Joe might have the Bengals kind of humming here a little bit. I mean, the Bengals defense still suspect. I mean, still gave up 31 points, obviously.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in shootouts, but you know what? You got the right pieces to be in a shootout with. Hell, I'll take Jamar Chase all day in a shootout.
I would agree with that. And that, that game was a really good game, but I have to switch over to another game that was a high-scoring game, and I couldn't believe it. And again, I wish I would have been paying attention. The Denver Broncos were getting their butts whooped all game long.
Them donkeys.
Until 4 or 5 minutes left into the fourth quarter, and they come back. But even that, before that, they scored 0 points through 3 quarters.
3 quarters. How do you give up 33 in the fourth quarter? I mean, I still think that the Giants defense is good. And for some reason, the gas pedal was let off. I don't know what the hell happened. No pass rush, no nothing. Bo Nix looks like a freaking superstar. Like everything goes right for the Broncos in the fourth quarter to blow it up. And you feel bad for Jackson Dart. Because this dude is balling out.
He's a baller.
He's got a ball, balling out. These guys are playing as well as they can as the New York Giants.
But
you know what? And that's where I still put this back on the fact that Brian Daboll sucks as a coach. It's as simple as that. I mean, I get that the players let it up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Brian Daboll's fault for not coaching it better in the fourth quarter. I mean, at some point you could stop the bleeding. You change up how you do things. Like, what the hell?
Well, and also I think, it goes back to, and we've seen it with the Ravens, we've seen it with other teams. When you have a lead like that, I get passing the ball. I get, and I'm a proponent of, but do what you did that got you there. But at some point, you do have to manage the clock effectively.
Yeah.
Run the ball, don't pass the ball at certain places so they don't have timeouts, so they can't do what they did at the end of the game.
Yep.
So, I do agree that Daboll, that he's the coach, he should be responsible for that, but they can't fire him. You know why? Look at what he's doing with Jackson Dart.
Look at what he's doing with Jackson Dart. And okay, so you can put it this way. Do you think it's the coach making the player or the player making the coach? Because at the end of the day, Brian Daboll did have Josh Allen in Buffalo, right?
Well, that's where his claim to fame is the fact that he had Josh Allen and he made him what he was in Buffalo that got him the job in New York. And since then, he didn't do shit with Daniel Jones.
Nope.
And look at what Daniel Jones is doing now.
Daniel Jones is the hero of the NFL and on potentially the best team in the NFL right now.
So it depends on how you look at it. It's sort of the chicken or the egg kind of thing. I don't know. I think Jackson Dart had the ability. I think he's making him great. I think he's also putting him in situations to be great.
Yes.
Russell Wilson, are you watching?
Yeah. The real white chocolate stepping up.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I think that at some point, someone, and I think it's higher than Brian Daboll, have made some mistakes.
Yeah, no, it's their GM.
Imagine this. Imagine if they would have gotten rid of Daniel Jones when they were supposed to and paid Saquon Barkley.
Think about how dangerous that could have been.
Jackson Dart wasn't like Jackson Dart was like the first or second pick. So they might have been still able to have that.
Oh yeah, no, they would still have every single piece they've got. They've got no compensation from the Saquon deal, by the way, because Saquon just left. So think about that. You could have got compensation for Jones. You already had a stellar defensive line being built. You already have a linebacking core. You could have gotten a secondary from that. I mean, the possibilities are endless here where they could have been a contender this year if they would have played their cards right. So yes, it's the GM's fault.
Sure.
It's a GM's fault, no question. But no, high scoring game, insanity, fourth quarter comeback. Sean Payton is the quarterback whisperer. I mean, that's as simple as that. The man knows how to turn people into players.
Are you listening, Russell? Because there's something that happened just yesterday or whatever when they asked Sean Payton about playing, and then he sort of mentioned that, there was an expectation that he thought would happen, and Russell didn't live up to it. And then Russell shot right back at him, which honestly, he's sort of right. Like, it's like still talking about your ex-girlfriend a year or two later. Like, you really haven't you gotten past that already?
Well, they're not past it because he's got so much dead cap money sitting there. They got to pay the man, just like the Jets. Jets still got to pay, that Aaron Rodgers guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you know what? The Jets are still paying Aaron Rodgers, and they suck. The Broncos, on the other hand,
Broncos have made Kool-Aid out of good stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, and you were saying earlier, we're gonna talk about a different Bo. Bo brought them back from nothing, 33 points in the last quarter, using his feet and his arm.
Balling. I'm eager as a Chiefs fan to get in that game. Two games with the Broncos coming up. I think it's gonna be fun. Good defensive matchup from the Broncos end. But I love that Kansas City Chiefs offense right now.
Me too. Having Rice back, everything looks great. Yep. And just to transition.
Yep.
What happened to the Oakland Raiders?
I tell you what, Pete Carroll had magic at one point. And I say magic very loosely because I've never been a fan of his ever. Even when he had his Super Bowl success, I was never a fan because his personnel on the field, his defensive stalwarts were the ones carrying that team.
Well,
and even Marshawn Lynch.
The Legion of Boom carried that team, and guess what? He personally is responsible for them losing one of those Super Bowls because he had the beast mode going, and he decided, I want to show how smart I am and try to throw a 1-yard pass instead of doing a 1-yard run.
To me, he's always been a goon. I mean, he's been a goon at USC. He paid his players to get his team and get Reggie Bush and all that shit. So that was back then. Then he went to Seattle. Yeah, he got a goon squad, but that goon squad was good by itself. Let them coach themselves, let them run themselves. They were that good. So no problem there. Then, you decide to get smart. Hey, let's throw the ball when we have the greatest weapon on earth in beast mode. You cost yourself a Super Bowl. Okay, so that one
literally. That was all on him. No one else. All on him.
I think the only reason Russell was, and I'm going to say this after the fact, it's probably a controversial take. Russell Wilson only succeeded because he was forced to shut up in that locker room because of how all the higher power on the defense that sat there. Like shut him down. Now he's trying to be diva and the leader. Guess what? That doesn't work so well.
He's not. He's never been a leader. I'm not even sure he was a leader at Wisconsin, to be honest.
No, for sure he wasn't. He was a hitman for hire. Same thing. Bounced around from school to school. Doesn't help. Yeah. So no, like I said, see, it's sad to see the Raiders having gone the way they did. You would a testament to the fact that coach up in Seattle, he knows what the hell he's doing because he got Sam Darnold humming on 10 engines right now too. So Geno, he had his success, came down to the Raiders. You would think Pete Carroll also carried that success with them. They had some, good influence supposedly from Tom Brady and everything else. Hasn't worked out so far.
Not at all.
Janty's the only successful piece left in the Raiders organization.
No,
even
that's not true.
Even Zach Crosby.
You got Crosby. Yeah,
he's been muted
Crosby. You also got the tight end.
Yeah, when have you used Powers this year? He's been useless.
Yeah. They've got pieces, but not sure what's going on from a coaching standpoint because they're not getting any real benefit from those pieces.
Interesting rumor flying around yesterday is the Cowboys are trying to make a move for Zach for Crosby.
I mean, so let me get this right. You trade a guy who might be the best defensive end in football or whatever position you want to call him. Because you didn't want to pay him that extra money because you made a handshake deal during a practice or something or whatever with the owner and the player and didn't include the agent.
Yep.
And then you're going to try to go get what might be definitely the best defensive end well, second best defensive end
up there
in the AFC. I have to give Myles Garrett his credit.
Yes.
And probably the second or third best in the whole league.
Yep.
What do you think you're going to have to pay for him?
Well, that's what's going to get interesting. Was this like a conflict of interest on a personality front of not getting Micah Parsons, or what? Like, what? A lot of questions are going to come out if this happens. But rumor has it that they're trying to figure out the draft compensation that would be needing to get Zach Crosby. Now, let's pretend that the Cowboys pull this off. Just hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
And given what you could now say is some of the successes that they're seeing on the field with like a George Pickens acquisition and all that stuff. And even also Javonte Williams for that matter.
Those two were the two best picks, and Ferguson now coming in his own as a tight end. Dallas's offense is for real. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Fun comment that's coming out across the media waves is Jerry Jones the best GM this season at acquisitions?
Stop. Let's stop. Come on now. We're getting ridiculous now. Because
we're not getting ridiculous, but think about it. If he somehow pulls off, let's say, I'm going to come up with draft compensation. Obviously, this is not realistic. Let's say it's like a second and a fourth rounder for Zach Crosby or something like that. Or for Max Crosby. Sorry. For Max Crosby. I mean.
You know what? Unless, in my opinion, you're right. Those two moves on offense look great, but they're nullified by what he did with Parsons. If you can take your compensation, if you take the compensation you got for Parsons, what was that, like a fifth round pick? It was some sorry compensation. If you can take that compensation and get Max, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, then you do it. Yeah, you do it. Now, there'll be a million questions asked, like, was this a race thing or what?
No, you know what? Micah had become that borderline cancer in the locker room. He was dividing the Cowboys.
I don't disagree.
He had a loud voice during his podcasts. He was constantly at odds, and I could see that. I don't think that was a race thing. I think that was you're trying to become the star, and I'm already the star. I made the star, young pup. You need to shut up or get out.
No, I agree. And that's where it would be interesting to see. Like, let's say they get Crosby. He fits kind of culturally into that Cowboys dynamic, which would be very interesting to see how all that blends together. So stay tuned. There's obviously a trade deadline coming up in 2 to 3 weeks here. Between now and then, could get interesting on seeing what happens around the league.
And the Cowboys are playing some decent ball.
They're
the problem with the Cowboys was the problem with the Bengals last year.
Yep.
If you got to score 40 to win every game,
right,
you're probably not going to win many games.
Yep.
Period. One other thing I wanted to comment on, there were a lot of things that happened last week. With Jaden Daniels getting hurt, where the Commander's going to be, does this propel the Cowboys into a playoff position? That could be one, thing we had for talk. The Lions dominating the Bucs. Are the Lions truly back? We shall see.
They got to build a streak for me to really appreciate it. I mean, Dan Campbell's obviously going to get those guys going. That defense to me is still suspect. I mean, yeah, you have Aiden Hutchinson. Don't get me wrong. You've got a few other pieces here and there. You're in a very tough division. You've got the Packers. You've got the Bears are kind of up and coming. The Vikings are still there. It's a tough NFC North you've got to deal with just within your own division. And the NFC as a whole, like you just mentioned, the Cowboys. That Cowboys offense is humming.
Yeah.
The Eagles are still there. You've got the entire NFC West. I mean, minus the Cardinals. Is there. So there's a lot to contend with
in that division, and Seahawks are pretty darn good too.
Yeah, you got a lot to contend with, and frankly, the Lions, while they are potent on offense, more than potent. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs.
They're done.
By the way, that touchdown, celebration between him and Amon-Ra St. Brown with
jumps over him.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. That was classic.
Thank God the NFL stopped being the not fun league and let them start doing that again. Remember, there was a period of time where you couldn't even have done that. That would have been a penalty flag and yada, yada, yada. I have to say this about the Detroit Lions, and I think this is something that is relevant. And it's sort of the same with the San Francisco 49ers. The Detroit secondary, the whole secondary was out. Now, remember, they weren't playing against some bums. They were playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And they were playing against Baker Mayfield, these carved up defenses, especially late in games. These guys who came in as subs for these starters played their butts off. I mean, they held the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 9 points. 9 points, y'all.
I think Dan Campbell had him fired up. I think he told him what's up. It's like, hey, we got to earn our keep. You guys step it up. And, they showed up. And you shot down arguably one of the more prolific offenses in the entire NFC, if not the NFL. I mean, shout out, sad news about Mike Evans. It sucks.
That was horrible because he probably would have broken Jerry Rice's record.
Rice's record, which is unheard of. I mean, that's just crazy.
So having that consecutive 1,000-yard seasons streak come to an end due to his injury after he was injured most of this year and came back, still with the hopes that he would, and most likely would have gotten it, even missing as many games as he had. That was so sad to see. And it's also sad to see that for Tampa Bay, who are they going to throw to? They're going to have to bring out. Are they going to try to get old boy out of jail so they can throw to him? What's his name, Brown? Because they had no receiver.
They've got Egbuka, who's been
he's hurt too. He's got a hamstring injury.
He's been playing hurt. They got to get Godwin, who's never been healthy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You can't throw to
Otten. You just can't throw to Otten. It's not that kind of work.
They've got to get healthy on all sides of the ball. Bucky Irving's still injured. I mean, they got way too much injury decimation going on now. That's also a team we got Super Bowl hopes for because, frankly, they're an easy division. They're looking at home field advantage potentially if they continue on the right path. It gets interesting in the NFC. I mean, they're the only team coming out of the South. The Falcons are not coming out. I'm going to call right now. I'm going to make that controversial take.
Pretty sorry, which was sad to see because I had two parlays. I would have won about $400 had the Falcons won that game. Yep. They look very sorry. The only other thing I wanted to touch on, or unless you had something else, was cool ass Mike McDonald. Is he going to last the season? Because I can tell you this, they can't just get rid of Tua because they just paid him a lot of money. But something's got to change in Miami. They look horrible, and they got trounced by the Browns. They didn't just get beaten. They got trounced by the Cleveland Browns.
So here's the question. And you brought it up already. You got crack dealer Mike, whose ideas are now already been read by the NFL. It's not working. We can see that.
Not working. And the players.
You've got what I call, and I'm going to say this very lightly, concussion boy Tua, who is a liability, in my opinion, financially and on the field, because it limits the things that he can do on the field for the price that it's paid. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, which do you part with? Because I don't think you can afford to part with both. That's the problem with having to rebuild an entire franchise at this point. So do you part with the coach or do you part with the quarterback? In my opinion, you part with the quarterback. And yeah, I understand it's going to be dead money and all that stuff. And it's going to be one of those things where they got to make a decision, which way they're going to go, coach or quarterback. And then they got to restart.
How do you just get rid of the quarterback?
Right.
And it's funny because we were just talking about the Jets and just the opposite, right? The owner came out, basically sacrificed the quarterback because he's not getting paid big bank like Tua. Right. They sacrificing him for the sake of the coach. On this side of it, honestly, I think the whole Miami organization, like from top to bottom, needs a culture shift. And you're not going to get that by getting rid of the quarterback. I think you have to get rid of the coach. I think his words, when he first came in, it was something new and fresh. Well, now it's stale. It's like that a pair of underwear that you can't wear just in case you have to go to the hospital, but you still keep in your drawer that not so good underwear. That's what he is right now. And I just can't see. They supposedly have a good defense. You can't really tell because their offense is so putrid that
they're having to spend 50 hours on the field. Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's time for a change. I think you need to have it at the head coach level, if not the GM level. Otherwise, just getting rid of the quarterback, I don't think is going to do enough. I just think that they need a whole culture shift. I think they've come up. The crack he's been selling isn't good enough anymore.
Nah, the crack and the speed of Shaquille and the 8 balls of Micah Fitzpatrick, all that stuff ain't gonna work anymore.
Walking on the sidelines looking like the Unabomber, that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Capri pants, gold shades, and that 1980s, Miami gangster vibe ain't cutting it anymore at the end of the day.
No, they're done. They're done. They're all
That
done.
said, that said, not too many other highlights from this week. I mean, yeah, you called it the Lions. The Seahawks got a good win at home against the Texans, I think, and they're still running, in all that. It's going to be interesting to see, like I said, weeks 8 through 12, the bye weeks, as you like to call them. It's going to be very interesting to see where teams can heal up, manage around situations, all that good stuff. And we're going to see a nice explosive, what I would call November, December for the playoff run in the division coming up here pretty shortly.
Yeah, and honestly, we've been doing well. We had that one bad week. We rebounded from week 6, where we looked pretty sorry. Actually, it wasn't week 6; it was week 5. The last 2 weeks we've been, respectable at 10-5. Week 6, last week we were 12-3.
Yep.
We have a shorter slate this week. There are only 13 games because you have 6 teams that are on the bye this week.
Yeah.
There are numerous games that I think are going to play a big role in some of the either ascension or clawing back, into things for certain teams. You talked about the Ravens. Ravens are playing the Bears. I think that's going to be one thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here's another game. The Chargers were initially the darlings of the AFC. They were supposed to be the next AFC team. Yeah, besides the Ravens and the Bills. They weren't even mentioning the Chiefs. They were mentioning the Chargers.
Yes.
Where are the Chargers now? And they're at home playing against Minnesota.
They're in a situation where they're in a must-win now because you've got a resurgent Kansas City team. You've got the Broncos who are looking on the up and up and looking stronger by the week at this point. And you were the darlings at one point to say, okay, we're going to run away with the division, weeks 1 and 2 because of how strong you look. All of a sudden, between injuries, you have no backfield left, essentially, at this point. You're starting some guy named Vidal, which still can't carry the ball.
Yeah, unless his name's Sassoon, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you still haven't figured out how to use McConkey, Johnson, and your tight end that well. And now you're on your backup tight end, your rookie tight end, who's looking okay. Gadsden, I forgot the guy's name. But you're having to rebuild yourself over this week 8 now, basically, and now go into a season where you're playing the Vikings, who are also needing a win to kind of stay with the North. It's going to be a nice, dirty Thursday game, I think. I'm going to go out on a limb and pick the Chargers, but I'm not very definite about it, honestly, because I think the Vikings have a better defense. Frankly, the Chargers are supposed to have the better defense on paper, but the Vikings are due for an offensive eruption because Justin Jefferson's been quiet lately.
He actually has. I mean, he's been getting some throws, but he doesn't have Justin Jefferson like numbers. Agree with that. But I think this is going to be a game. Remember, the Chargers are at home, and yes, they don't have running. They still have passing, still have McConkey. They still got some offensive weapons. They haven't been playing the kind of defense that they supposedly their defense was, equipped to play.
Yep.
But I'm going to take the Chargers on this one. I think the Chargers are going to try to bounce back. They're going to need that because the West will run away from them real quick with the Broncos and the Chiefs if they don't start winning and keeping pace. So. And you were saying that you have the Vikings on this one.
No, I'm going Chargers also, actually. I'm going Chargers.
Okay. It sounded like you were taking the Vikings.
I'm going the Chargers only because they're at home, but I wasn't too keen on it, but I'm going Chargers.
I got another one. This game, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You got Dolphins, Falcons. I can't pick the Dolphins as long as Tua's. Actually, they're swapping out Tua and they're going with Ewers or whatever as quarterback.
Yeah,
is that right?
Ewers.
Yeah.
Going with Ewers. I mean, at the end of the day, Bijan Robinson is going to run ragged on them. Simple as that.
I would agree. The Falcons look pretty sorry playing on Monday night, but I think they'll bounce back. They're at home. I think that's the right recipe for them to get back on track.
Yep.
Bears are playing in Baltimore. I'm sure you guys are hyped up for this game.
They're coming out this way. Lamar's back from a bye week and from injuries and all that, so it'll be interesting. I'm going to go Ravens on this one, but I'm not very confident on it because that defense is built like Swiss cheese. And Caleb Williams with, no pressure, he's pretty good. at this point. Unless Roquan Smith wants to wake up and actually be Roquan Smith and take some revenge out on his old team, it's going to get interesting real fast. I can see this being a high-scoring game, honestly. A very high-scoring game, in fact. Like first team to 40.
That could potentially happen. I'm thinking it probably is going to be more like, 30-24 kind of score.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Bears. I got the Bears in this one. I think with Lamar coming back, that's will uplift the Ravens offense. I just feel like they've been out of sync the whole time. Even when Lamar was healthy, their play calling sucks. You guys are not utilizing.
The boys have not figured it out. But that's the reason I say, like, the bye week, maybe they got something kick-started. I don't know. I haven't heard much media around here because, honestly, I think most people have stayed away from talking to the Ravens just to see if they can change up the culture a little bit. So it'll be interesting. But I'm going to go Ravens. You're going Bears. That'll be an interesting little pick there. But I'm picking a high-score game.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Ravens need the game more than the Bears.
Yeah.
But for the Bears to try to keep pace in an NFC that is going to have the Eagles, the Commanders lost Jaden Daniels and they look sort of pathetic against Dallas. So you got another
team is disappointing right now
from the East. Well, you got two teams that could come from the East. You got one that's going to come from the South.
Yep.
You're going to have two that come from the West. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for how many teams can come from.
Get dirty.
North.
I mean, you got 4 contenders in the North. That's what's scary, right? Like that's what I mean. It's really going to come down to these off-brand games against not your division that are going to separate these teams. So it's got to be games like this where you have to win. So yeah, there's going to be pressure on the Bears to win, no question.
So we'll see what happens there. Should be a good game though, and I'm looking forward to that game. Another game that I'm not going to pay a whole lot of time to. Jets playing against the Bengals.
Joe Flacco is going to put up 40.
Well, and I just see the Jets possibly going 0-17. Period.
Yeah, and it might be good for them to do so. Honestly,
it might not be good for Aaron Glenn, but it could be good for them. But you know what? They've shown, and this is the sad part about, I guess, the way the draft is and what happens to certain players that is beyond their control. You could be the best quarterback coming out. If you go to the Jets, we've seen what happened. Look at Geno. Look at Sam Darnold. They don't get better until they leave that organization. And I just feel like the Jets, until they change something up top, are going to continue to be that.
Yep, agreed. Nope, it's got to change all the way top down for over there. No question. I think the Bengals rebound. They put up a 30 spot, and that should be an easy game for them. Not a problem, especially at home.
Yep.
Let's see. Bills Panthers.
That's an interesting game. All of a sudden, you would have said that at the beginning of the year.
Bills are looking suspect, and again, I think it has to do with all of their play calling again. So that gets interesting. The Panthers are kind of resurgent right now. They're getting the ball out to McMillan. They're getting the ball, and everything. But Bryce Young is now injured.
Yeah.
That said, that's the reason I'm going the Bills in this one in a pretty easy game. But had Bryce Young been there, could have been an interesting game.
Could be. They got a two-headed monster in the backfield. The Chuba got injured, and all of a sudden Rico came in and threw 2 200-yard games at up there. So I think the Panthers have the ability to potentially win this game. But I don't think they're going to. I think that there's too much Josh Allen, too much Cook, too much. Even though they haven't really been hitting it on all cylinders, I think they'll have enough to get by the Panthers.
Yep. Let's see. Niners Texans. Interesting game. Texans have flamed out, unfortunately, and now they got injuries. And Nico Collins out and everything else. Stroud's not looking like Stroud. Niners are hitting on all cylinders. CMC staying healthy, which is a rarity.
That in and of itself is a rarity.
And the 49ers, and frankly, are getting healthy minus Fred Warner at this point. So they'll get Kittle back. They're getting Purdy back in a couple weeks and everything else. Mac Jones is playing like a Hall of Famer,
Well, and their defense actually played well, even without Warner, which was surprising.
Yeah. So, no, I like the Niners in this one on the road. The Texans, I don't know what's going on over there, honestly. Can't explain it.
I can't either. They've gone from an up-and-coming team that people thought might, contend for the Super Bowl to this. And, CJ Stroud because they might as well put a shroud over him because that's it. They're done. They're dead, you know.
Yeah.
And there is no resurrection coming from this one. I think they're done. And Kirk being there hasn't helped. Nico's out. Their running game is putrid. They just look, I don't know. I just don't. Their defense, which was supposed to be really good, all of a sudden looks very average at best.
Exactly. Giants Eagles match number 2 in 3 weeks. We saw what happened in round 1, which was interesting. Scatterboo became Scatterboo. But because this one's back in Philly, I'll give it to the Eagles in this one. The Giants, I don't know how. Let's see how they rebound from a tough loss, obviously, against the Broncos last week. But at the end of the day, this is a division rivalry game. We know how that works in the NFC East. This is in Philly. I think Eagles get revenge here. They'll get this win. But I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a touchdown game.
I think there's a possibility of that, but I'm going to call back to last year. The Bears were playing well at the beginning of the season. I want to say that they were like 4-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they played the Washington Commanders.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And they were basically winning that game.
Yep.
And then the oddest, freakish thing happened, and they lost. And they never recovered from that game. Never.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they won one game the rest of the season. They didn't. Exactly. Hey, let me go cheer at this. Hey, we're going to beat your team. You guys suck. Oh, the ball's in the air. But they never recovered from that. And I'm curious to see how the Giants, because that was an historic, colossal collapse. That wasn't just like a regular losing something. It wasn't even a Hail Mary. It was, you let a team score 33 points in one quarter. You were up 18 points with 4.5 minutes left, and you couldn't win the game?
Yeah. It's exactly what it was.
Hard to come back from. And that's why I took the Eagles. But I'd like to do one thing. I just say to the Giants fans. One, at least you're cheering for the Giants, because everybody in New York that's cheering for the Jets has nothing to look forward to. Whereas Giants, you guys, even though you lost that game, look at how you're competing. Look at how you're playing. And
you put up a 30 spot. You know, your defense has capabilities. Like this is there's hope in my Giants organization. Jets have no hope.
So I would just say that we don't play for what do you say a consolation. You're not trying to get the feel good moment. You want to win. But I think that the Giants are definitely on the right road to becoming winners.
Yep.
But I'm taking Eagles.
Yeah. Browns, Patriots. Patriots are looking good. Drake May's looking good. Mike Vrabel's got the right culture going over there. Stephon Diggs is not a crybaby. Like it's kind of working right now. And the Browns are the Browns. Let's face facts. So I think this is an easy pick on the Patriots for me.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the fact that what the Browns did last week, that was a blip on the radar. Yeah. I'm sorry. Drake May could be the MVP of the league this year if he continues this. He's in top categories and all of the passing categories. He's turned New England from a pathetic post-Brady franchise to
let's think about this.
They're leading the division, and the Bills are in that division. How shocked are the Bills looking up at the New England Patriots?
How do you have to feel knowing the Patriots went down to Tennessee and easily won in Tennessee, and the Tennessee fans were rooting for Mike Vrabel? What does that tell you about the Tennessee Titans organization?
Well, and as we said, and Cam Ward, I'm sorry that you got to be there, but you may be in a world of trouble, and you'll be looking at your next team because, if you look at the worst franchise, and they were showing this on TV, somebody put the Dolphins first. I'm sorry, the Jets should be first, the Titans should be second, and the Dolphins should be third. But those are the three worst franchises, and that's not even the Browns.
Yeah, it's not even the Browns or the Saints, either one.
That's how bad those franchises are. And the dissension in the locker room, the lack of leadership up top, the inability to turn a franchise around through the draft and other things over the years is why these two teams are where they are.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Titans are looking bad. Speaking of the Saints, they're playing the Buccaneers this week at home.
It gets interesting. It's a division game. And it's always been interesting in, in the NFC South when you get these little rivalry, little games and stuff like that with the Saints and Bucks.
Yep.
Saints don't have anything on the field. They literally don't have anything working for them. Spencer Rattler's your quarterback. Like, do I have to say anything more than that? Spencer Rattler is your NFL quarterback on a million options on a million teams. You could go make a move for Jabu, aka Jameis Winston. You could go make a move for a lot of decent other quarterbacks in the league, but you instead decide to start Spencer Rattler and then have some great receivers and some great running backs all around, but you can't even get them the damn ball, and you have a no defense.
No.
It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. I feel bad for the city of New Orleans because, they get behind their team. It's a good culture down there, but they have no hope this season. They're as bad as the Jets in that respect. Jets are worse off, obviously. Buccaneers win this one. Buccaneers are still obviously getting over injuries and everything else, but they're still going to win this one. Not a problem there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a divisional game, so you got to throw that up there. When they played last time, did the Saints beat them?
Saints beat them, I think, last season, or was it this season? Did they beat them this year?
Earlier this season that they lost against the Saints. I'm not 100% sure on that. We don't have him. We got Jimbo. Jimbo, can you give us that?
I'm looking it up right now. The Saints, one win of this year was against the Giants, and they have not played Tampa Bay yet this year.
Okay, so that was last year. But this is a divisional game. Saints play the Bucks sort of hard when they do play them. Just can't see it. And I'm thinking in about 2 to 3 more weeks, there are going to be more garbage bags over the brown bag over the heads that say Aints, like the old school fans from New Orleans. I think you're going to see some of that coming up soon. And like that's your quarterback.
You're going to have that GAUX Aints. It ain't going to work. In fact, the entire state of Louisiana is in disarray right now with as bad as LSU and New Orleans is. Like, this is their time for football season. Those fans are in like suicide watch. It's so bad over there right now.
It happens so fast. Yeah, the Saints, you can sort of see that. But the LSU Tigers, you didn't expect
coming too. I'm sorry, but in college football, there are a couple cancers that exist. One of them we've known, and for some reason still gets hired everywhere he goes, is Brian Kelly. Who hired this man? Seriously. They're so bad off right now in LSU. They're calling for the return of Ed Orgeron. And Ed Orgeron, I liked him because he was kind of that homey guy that had that, Bayou accent and everything else. Like,
he had like sort of grit about him too. He spoke it like this.
That's how bad off they're right now for football in that state. It's horrible.
Gotta love it. Yeah, I don't have much to say for you guys in New Orleans, and the Saints aren't what you're going to be cheering for. That's for sure. You have to find something else. Don't they have Tulane down there or something like that? You might have to start looking at teams like that.
Exactly. Colts Titans. I mean, this is going to be what, a 4-touchdown game at this point? Shit.
Okay, so here's the question: are the Colts really that good?
No, because they've beaten all the trash in the NFL so far. When they've beaten a good team, sign me up. Let me listen. But until then,
wait a minute. You're saying that they played trash. Just a week ago, didn't they play a top tier team and they beat them on the road?
Let me point out their wins right now. They beat the Dolphins. Doesn't matter. They beat the Broncos by 1 at home. They beat the Titans. They lost to the Rams. They beat the Raiders.
Yeah, but they barely lost to the Rams. And remember, the Rams game was the I forgot that you actually have to cross the goal line with the ball to score a touchdown. That's why they lost that game.
Exactly. And then their other win just this last week was against the Chargers. So, and again, the Chargers are suspect right now. We don't know what to make of them. So that's the reason I say, like, they've gotten their easy wins against their mid-tier teams. They've won, the Chargers game. They lost against the Rams, which is a formidable team. So that's where I say, I don't know if I'm buying the 6-1. I kind of read them as no different than like a 4-2 type team on paper in comparison. So show me a good win. This week, again, garbage game. Can't tell you anything once they beat the Titans. But next week, they don't play necessarily a great team, but I think it's going to be a great matchup. Colts Steelers.
Yeah, actually,
that will tell me something.
Yeah, They have the Steelers. Then they play the Falcons. The game that I think is going to tell you something, because I'm still not sold on the Steelers either. Their defense isn't Steeler-like, not historically legacy Steeler-like. Their offense is okay. But God forbid you have another poor outing and DJ Metcalf or becomes that guy again, DK Metcalf. He becomes that guy again. Let's see where they go from there.
Well, the interesting thing is I look at the rest of the schedule for the Colts.
Well, they play the Chiefs. That's what I was saying. They play the Chiefs 2 weeks after that.
They have only 2 quality games, in my opinion, left on their schedule. The Chiefs, which is on the 23rd, and then the 49ers. And well, let me rephrase that.
No, they play the Seahawks too right before that.
Yeah, Seahawks and the 49ers back-to-back in December.
Yeah.
And beyond that, they play their division, which, frankly, they should be able to clean house on.
And that's the advantage, and that's why, and I wanted you to say that, like, the Colts look good, and everybody's talking them up, but remember the division they play in.
Yeah.
So maybe they aren't that good.
Well, but it plays well to the fact that they could be hosting home field. That's what scares me.
Very true.
Especially if they beat the Chiefs, they could be hosting home field in the AFC, which gets interesting.
Yep. That could be very interesting. Playing in Indianapolis might not be where you want to be in the playoffs, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to see Jonathan Taylor have to brave the elements versus running on Kirk in the playoff. So,
and the same with Daniel Jones. I want to see him play Daniel Jones.
Yeah, so like I said, time will tell how this team plays out. But I mean, it's an easy win against obviously the Titans this week. But talk to me in 2 weeks when we play them and everything else. We'll see how all that goes, basically.
I think the next game we're looking at is probably the game of the week for both teams. You got the Cowboys-Broncos in Denver.
In Denver, which, you got arguably the best offense with the Cowboys right now, and arguably one of the better defenses with the Broncos. Great matchup on paper. This is going to be down to a game of strategy, and that's where I give Sean Payton the edge, and I'm going to go Broncos in this one. I'm going Donkeys to actually stop them.
Well, and they are at home, too.
I want them. I want the Cowboys to win because of divisional interest, but
see, that's funny because I picked the Cowboys, maybe a little bit of my Chief. I want them to lose because that helps the Chiefs. But I also feel this. The Broncos just played the Giants. They should have lost that game. They had half a good quarter, maybe a whole quarter. So they played 15 minutes out of 60 minutes.
Right.
That should fuel them to play better. But what it shows me is if the Giants can expose them of that with the Giants offense, what should Dallas be able to do with their offense?
True.
Plus, isn't Williams coming back to Denver? Talk about, if I'm him, I want to run for 200 yards against these guys because they let me go. They didn't show enough faith and trust in me to keep me.
Yep. Nope, I agree. But no, I think it's gonna be a great matchup, especially in Mile High. Afternoon game. It's going to be an interesting game. But like I said, I think you're going Cowboys. I'm going Broncos. It's going to be an interesting one.
I agree.
Yep.
We got Packers, 2 more.
Packers Steelers could be interesting. Sunday night game in Pittsburgh. Jordan Love's got a lot to prove because he's got to start beating some quality teams and stay in that division, obviously. Micah Parsons going against Aaron Rodgers. Does he take his head off?
Well, here, I got a question. And not that I like Jerry Jones, but has Micah been, they still say he's the best defense player. I said that earlier, all of that stuff. Yeah. But what has he really done at Green Bay?
I guess the question, that's where the Packers are 4-1-1, right? So has he been a locker room leader? I don't know if that's necessarily been publicized as much. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Has he made the players around him better on the defense? I would say yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
If for nothing else, he's getting the pressures. He might not finish the play, and others are getting the benefit of that.
Right. So I think that's where it's going to get interesting. Now, the Steelers' defense has been Swiss cheese.
Yeah, they've been suspect.
And frankly, the Packers have a man named Josh Jacobs who loves to eat Swiss cheese. So to that point, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup in Pittsburgh because I think the Packers are going to try to run play action and try to get the ball out, maybe to, Dobbs and the rest of that crew out there and the wide receivers and all that. Jordan Love's got to stay on his feet if the Steelers don't resurrect their defense. So, Packers can be putting up 20, 30 points. Conversely, Packers defense, this is their time to show what the value of Micah is. Can they shut down a Steeler offense? that, is kind of on the up and up. They got a decent run game. They've got the capability of getting the ball out to Metcalf and all that. They're using their tight ends. Aaron Rodgers is just sitting there throwing. He's getting a lot of protection, it seems like. So it gets interesting.
Who do you got, though?
I'm going to go Steelers.
I actually am taking the Steelers. All of the things you said, I think are true for both teams. I'm anticipating some fall.
I trust Mike Tomlin.
What's that?
Yeah, I trust Mike Tomlin. Simple as that.
I trust Mike Tomlin. I think there's going to be some fall-like weather. I think the Steelers are going to figure out how to run the ball a little more effectively than they have. And I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Steelers are going to pull this one out.
Yep, especially Sunday night. It's Aaron Rodgers against the Packers, all that drama. I'm sure there'll be some stuff, but yeah.
They'll be playing that up. But you know what? He's so far removed from the Packers. It doesn't even count. The only thing that counts is Jordan Love was his backup, and they got rid of him for Jordan Love. That's all it is. Everything else, though, he's been with the Jets 2 years, only played one. He's hit the Steelers now. I think that's so far removed from that.
Exactly.
That it shouldn't even be that much of a storyline.
Agreed. The Monday night game. The Monday night game. It's our Chiefs. They're at home, and Jaden Daniels isn't there. We better win by 2 touchdowns, especially with as prolific as the offense looked last week. I mean, I loved it. I love the fact that we can go to 6 guys any given day at any given play and now make positive yardage. That's what really helps. Still wish the running game was better. I think that's where I'm going.
Do they need to get rid of Pacheco? Because I'm liking Kareem is showing that he's running.
So here's the monetary decision.
But Pacheco can't catch a ball out the backfield. He's shown that he's like Butterfingers. He's not running effectively. He runs more towards the tackle than he runs away from the tackle. I'm going
to tell you the move that I want to make before the trade deadline, and you tell me if you agree with this or not. So Pacheco's coming off still his rookie contract. We haven't re-signed him to a full long-term deal yet off his rookie contract. So he's still cheap money. Kareem Hunt, obviously more of a veteran salary. I think we're barely paying him hardly anything because he's still got like Brown's money coming in and stuff like that. And he's obviously got his issues off the field that it's past him now, but it's one of those things. And he's older. He's older now. So that's another piece to it. Here's the move you make. The Saints are struggling. Alvin Kamara's cap hit is only $2.9 million this year. We have exactly $3.1 million available for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you trade either Hunt or Pacheco, and you tell me which one, to go get Alvin Kamara for the season for a rental, to go to the playoff run?
Without a doubt.
Which one? See, that's a tough one because Alvin Kamara can pass catch. We know that.
Yes.
In fact, that's what he's done.
Effectively. He can run it hard and he can run it fast. I think he's better than both of them. I think you make a good point that having somebody on their rookie contract costs you very little money.
Yep.
But also having a veteran is that one thing, though, right?
For the playoff run. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're older. So which is going to bode you well for this year, but then what happens next year?
Yeah.
Honestly, as much as I'm saying Pacheco can't do anything, I would trade Kareem Hunt over.
I would trade Kareem Hunt.
And I would take on Kamara.
I don't want to because he's a battering ram and that he's good on third down. I mean, he is that guy that you give the ball to on third down. You know he can make a play. But when you bring in Alvin Kamara, he becomes that guy.
Yeah. Plus, Pacheco needs to learn how to block too.
Yeah. So no, that's right. I would love that move before the trade deadline if we could pull it off.
I agree because if they can get a running game, it's one thing to have the offense that you have without a running game, but imagine how effective it is when you can actually play action pass because teams run.
We were beating Hollywood Brown and Juju last game. I mean, that's how deep we went. Like,
and I got a question for you, being a Chiefs fan like I am.
Yep.
How is this, Trevor? Is this Travis's last year?
I think it is if he wins a ring. I think he walks away from the game if we win a ring this year, no questions asked, and he'll go down great. I think he is around this year. I mean, yes, he's made a couple good plays here and there, and he's been a key guy in the middle. But at this point, he's reached his peak value in terms of physical presence on the field. He's a locker room guy, I think, so that's a good thing. But that's where, like I said, if we win a ring, I think he's retiring. He's done. If we don't win a ring, I think next year he maybe sticks around as a swan song just to say goodbye and everything else. So I think he's got at best this year and next year, and that's it. And he's done. But I think this year could be his last year, given everything else going on.
I think you might be right in the sense that he might want to announce his retirement so he could sort of go through that whole year with Travis is retiring.
Yeah.
But I think he should retire after this year, because if you watch his route running, if you watch his commitment, it's not the old Travis Kelce commitment.
No, and he's not as physical.
Yeah, he's not as physical. He's not as committed. He doesn't pivot and get out of routes quickly. He's not looking up for the ball, but I don't blame him for that, because it's like Mahomes forgot who he was. But I feel like he doesn't have a place anymore. Gray's just as good a tight end as he is.
If we had, and unfortunately, there is a good well of tight ends coming out of college in both basketball aspects and football, which is the fortunate part in that skill set, where we can afford to go draft one. And we've got Noah Gray and a couple others.
Gray's better.
You got to develop them. You got to develop them a little more, and maybe we can get somebody a little more physical. But yeah, I guess your question maybe, is he more of a liability than an asset, you think, this year so far?
I think he is. I think, for one, I don't think that he requires a double team anymore.
Right,
so it's not that he's drawing anybody. Now, the fact that we have so many offensive weapons, I think that, makes the other guys have more opportunities. But if you notice, we're not passing the ball to Kelce. He's not really making an impact on the game. Not a whole lot. He caught a couple last week. It's just, I feel like, here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If he doesn't quit this year, don't let him go this year and they don't win. And then the following year, he has a worse year than this year. And then he ends up being a Taylor Swift song. How I left the man at the altar because he faltered. I'm just saying, be careful with Travis. You might want to just go out a winner and go and don't become a song,
I think this year, if he were to serve a better purpose the last half of the season, and this involves him having to get more physical, I think, in some aspect, I wish he would be more of a pass blocker and protect on the strong side for Mahomes, because, well, obviously, we've had Josh Simmons out for, other reasons, psychological reasons, from what I'm understanding. Not him being psychological, other things with his family going on, from what I found out more when I read online. So he was supposed to be our blindside protector, having drafted him, and he's great when he's on the field, but he just hasn't been on the field. So that'll come. The right side, if Travis can block out some of the more stronger linemen that are attacking.
Yeah, but come on, man. Listen to what you're saying.
I know.
Travis, I'm going to be a Hall of Famer because I caught more passes and touchdowns than Tony Gonzalez and everybody else. Yeah. You want me in my twilight to become a pass blocker? Come on, man. Yeah, okay, but come on, man. Let's be real about this. Let's be real. Is that what you think is going to happen?
Even Gronk didn't do it. I get it. Even Gronk didn't do it.
Yeah. And he wasn't around nearly as long as Travis Kelce. I'm sorry. No. You just can't ask somebody who's been at the peak of their ability and of their position for so long to say, hey, you know what? You might as well just put him out on the waiver wire and tell him we don't want you to be a Chief anymore if you're going to do that.
No, I agree. No, like I said, I think if we get to the Super Bowl, I think he's retiring. If we win, he's definitely retiring. If we lose the Super Bowl, he may still retire probably, which is fine. He'll go off as still one of the greatest tight ends ever, no question. Does he want to complete the circle? Yeah, of course he wants to complete the circle, just like everyone else.
Everyone should, yeah. But I tell you what, just don't do it, Travis. If you're listening, I know you're not, but if you were, look,
come on, Kelce boys.
I just, you know what Taylor Swift's always been about. At first, I thought you were just going to end up another song, maybe a whole album. But now you're at that point where
album with the whole wood bit, but
But I just don't want you to be that guy. I could just see that song coming out. I left him at the altar. And then the lyrics be, I left him at the altar because his career faltered.
Look at a banjo strum.
He's no longer. What's that?
I'll get a banjo strum on that one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Travis, don't become that. Become, Mr. Kelce Swift.
Yeah. Hey, my daughter has a jersey that literally says 87 and has the name Swift on it. So,
wow,
it's already there. It's already there.
Yeah, I'd love to see them win. I think the Chiefs have gotten themselves back into that discussion, and actually, I heard that they're now the favorites again in the AFC East or AFC to
I
win.
mean, you have to like the fact that this offense is humming. And yeah, it's a one day sample. Let's see it sustain
Let's
itself
not
over
get too
next
happy
year.
too fast. Yeah,
Vegas has them as the favorites for every game going forward, including the Bills game and the Colts game, which is pretty impressive in its own right. Which are again back-to-back games for the Chiefs, which is going to be another interesting stretch leading into November. So, this is going to be an interesting, like I said, this stretch between weeks 8 and 12, where you're playing these off-brand, off-division teams, is literally going to make or break for the seeding going into the playoffs, in my opinion, and home field. So you got to get the wins. You got to go sustain injuries, and coming back healthy. The Chiefs are at 100% health basically right now, if you think about it. So can we sustain it? Yeah. We need to get Trey Smith back and everything else. So no, I don't disagree, but they can only go up at this point. So it's a good sign for them. But like I said, every team comes for the crown. So you got to be ready every week.
That's right. We'll see. This is a great slate of games, just like we've had every week. There's been some drama. There's been some incredible historic moments like the Broncos comeback. And I think we're going to continue to see that kind of action. And that's what makes football so great. Remember, while NBA just started, that's 1 out of 82 games.
Yes.
82 games.
As much as they started with a great bang, we'll revisit maybe like March, April.
Because again, the importance of each game isn't the same as it is in the NFL.
No. And again, health in basketball, 82 games, long season. Let's see what sustains. And then of course this, famous thing we like to call load management, which whatever.
I'm sorry. I hate that. I get it. For me, if you really have to load manage, should you still be playing?
Exactly.
Because I'm a fan and the ticket prices continue to go up. Well, if I buy tickets in advance and then all of a sudden you decide that you're going to keep all the stars out on the games that I'm supposed to be attending, I'm not going to be happy about that because I didn't pay to see bench players. I paid top dollar to see the star players play.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Another thing that you didn't see back in the day. These guys would come up with jacked up fingers and jacked up toes, and they played every game. Because that's what it was about back then. And they were getting, remember, and I saw they were showing some stats. These dudes were punching them in the midair. They weren't like tapping them, they were punching them. The Detroit Pistons throwing people down to the ground with Mahorn. They showed another one coming from the guy who was on the New York Knicks. I forget his name. Anthony Mason. This is how they played. Yep. And you played every night. And now it's like, I'm going to take off 40% of the games. Embiid, just because I'm not playing doesn't mean I'm not an MVP.
If there was ever a disappointment for the city of Philadelphia that needs to be lost, it is him. And beyond that, you can go, whatever. He's ruined the franchise. I'm sorry, trust the process? No, don't.
That process is jacked up, y'all. Y'all been trusting that process for too long.
Straight up. On that note, we've made our picks for this week. We'll be back next week to kind of recap. But like I said, a fun slate of weekend of games going on this weekend for sure. The fall season is in full effect, so enjoy the time of year. Enjoy the sports. Like you said, 4 sports all on at once.
Good time day. At once. That's right. And actually, they got lucky because although Toronto's probably a little colder at this time of year, they got lucky with baseball because they got the Dodgers, so they won't be playing. And this is another fault of baseball. Shouldn't they be? The World Series is the pinnacle of your sport. This is where you get to showcase your game to the world. And you're going to be playing it in Chicago in October.
Yep.
You're going to be playing it in Boston.
Yep. You played in snow before.
Maybe you should rethink that, people.
Yep.
Maybe if there's some things that need to be changed, we're changing things in every sport, right? Why shouldn't we change that in baseball?
For another day. I've got some suggestions on what baseball can do. They can model off of some things that other sports have done to make it more interesting. But definitely has food for thought.
All right. I hope that everybody enjoys the week. I hope that the entertainment value of the NFL matches the entertainment value that we bring to you every week with our insightful analysis, witty banter, and our fandom that we give to the teams that we love.
Absolutely. Like I said, go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, go Bears. Let's do this.
Yep. With that said, see you guys next week.
Peace.